let's move to one of your wider responsibilities. I was not expecting when preparing with colleagues' help for this walk and conversation. I either had forgotten or never knew that Devon and Cornwall has the National Centre for Response to Human Trafficking, and indeed you lead on that. And that's certainly over the last handful of years, with the crossing of the Channel and tying in with Brexit to some degree as well. That's appears to be becoming even more of an issue than it has been in years gone by. Is that a fair assessment? And how do you see things for the response on human trafficking looking forward?
It is a very fair assessment, and I think the reality is all chief officers or chief constables will have big portfolios. I have a few. I have the National Volunteer Police Cadets, and that's my my interest in children links to Encompass. Migrant children now ratchet up some more levels as to how vulnerable they are. They don't have a choice, and we've had some unfortunate stereotyping. Unfortunate because people are frightened or don't understand that migrant children are somehow a problem. They're not. They really are not the problem. They are very much the symptom of many causes, and I think the UK eventually as a people, and certainly as a government, got its head around these children being brought here under duress, the terror of escaping a war zone. We can rights or wrongs of a refugee camp that is in itself having rape and serious violence within it, and women flee. They are so vulnerable, and men too, to the traffickers and the traffic. So it comes in many forms. Those fleeing war zones, those who are coerced, and those who are seeking a better life. And that's where that grey area of so-called economic, being smuggled and being trafficked. Smuggled, you are knowledgeable and partaking in trafficked, you're not at its most simplest. Those are such phenomenally grey areas, and the police response to that first response to safeguard, get fluid in them, get them hydrated, get someone who can speak their language. We can then investigate any crime later. And the humanitarian side of the UK has flourished, often because we've been challenged by third sector groups like Human Trafficking Foundation, Stop the Traffic, and others, many others, who've helped us policing and raise our game. It's not about being soft, being compassionate. You can bring the right people to justice further down the line. And we have seen in Essex, one of the places you'll walk, Bernard, the 39 migrants who died in the back of that lorry.
Yes.
That is not unusual, even in the UK, and certainly not Europe. The cockle pickers up in Lancashire, if you recall, many times ago.
Yes.
And even this year, we've had one found dead in the back of a lorry in, I believe it was Nottinghamshire. So this is ongoing. The whys, the push and pull factors, does Brexit make that better or worse? Well, in one way, it makes it clearer as to exchange of information. The government's managed to keep that communication exchange for law enforcement. The government's certainly committed its role on the global stage around the United Nations. Its commitment to eradicate slavery has remained since Theresa May and through to the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary. And the funding of our team, which is a Home Office fund, so again, we can talk about governments, but they put their purse where their heart is on this issue, is remaining front and centre. And then, of course, lastly, let's not forget our own people can be trafficked. Elements of that law, and we look at Rotherham, and child sex abuse is about moving girls across boundaries, long distances, for the purpose of exploitation, falls within the remit of that trafficking of people for exploitation. And so our own indigenous people, women mainly, but certainly the labour part, men, people with disability, mental disability, learning difficulties in labour exploitation, it is in plain sight if we care to look in the UK.